The story begins at a funeral where Sarah and Kristen mourn the death of their late mother. Their fond father, Charles, and his new wife, Brittany, arrive to pay their respects and check on the girls. A few days later, the girls move in, but Sarah isn't happy with the new move because Charles wants to act like a father again, and she's not ready to forgive and forget. The younger and smarter sister, Kristen, encourages her to let it go and focus on the positive side since they're about to start the same college together. A few weeks later, Charles drives Sarah and Kristen to college and helps them settle in. It's the first day on campus, and Sarah's already turning heads. Jeff can't help but stare as she walks by him. Jeff kind of fine. In the dorms, she meets her new roommate, Diana, but she excuses herself for a private fart. After checking out their rooms, Charles takes the girls to his lab and introduces them to his team. Charles is the lead professor in the school's biological research department, and Kristen shows her smarts by talking about her dad's research. One of his staff members, Wayne, makes a move on Sarah, but she's not impressed because he's a dork. He tries to tell her how her dad's research is trying to prevent depression using mice. However, Sarah is too dumb to understand. Wayne suggests they grab lunch, and Kristen tags along with them. In the cafeteria, he introduces the girls to his closeted best friend, Jordan. Jordan is a girl, by the way. That's when Jeff walks in with his crew and casually invites Sarah to a party at his place. He tells her to bring her friends, and although Kristen isn't comfortable with it, Sarah agrees to show up anyway. Once Jeff leaves, Jordan is surprised that Sarah could pull a guy like Jeff on her first day because Jeff is a spoiled rich kid and is a big deal on campus, since most students would kill to attend his parties. That evening, as Sarah gets ready, Kristen asks to come too. Sarah hesitates since Kristen is underage, but eventually agrees with one rule: no drinking. The moment they arrive at the party, Jeff's friend Athena pulls Sarah aside and says Jeff has been waiting for her. She offers Sarah a pill, but Sarah turns it down. When she finally meets Jeff, he pauses the music and announces her as his new girl in front of everyone. Gross, I would have excused myself to leave. Meanwhile, Athena secretly spikes a drink and gives it to Sarah. Sarah says she promised not to drink, but Jeff says one cup won't hurt, so she takes it. Athena proving that she too can be Ghislaine Maxwell. About 5 minutes in, the drug kicks in, and Jeff notices, so he leads her away from the dance floor, heading to his room upstairs. Kristen sees them and notices something off, but Sarah tells her she's fine. This annoys Kristen because they promised not to drink, but she doesn't know that Sarah was drugged. When Wayne shows up and finds out that a drunk Sarah is with Jeff, he panics and tells Kristen to follow him. Upon reaching Jeff's room, Kristen threatens to call the popo if Jeff doesn't open the door. As a result, Jeff lets them in and is pissed that they ruined his P. Diddy moment with Sarah. The following morning, Sarah jolts awake after having a nightmare about Jeff. When Kristen wakes up, she tells Sarah all that happened last night, and Sarah is shocked. Then Athena arrives, pretending to be concerned about Sarah. She claims Sarah is lightheaded and was wasted after having a single cup of beer, but Kristen is convinced that Sarah's drink was spiked. The accusation annoys Athena, and she warns Kristen to be careful of what she says. This strikes a nerve, causing Sarah to yell at her. Ready to beat her Oz! But before Athena leaves, she tells the girls to bury their accusations because they wouldn't want heat from Jeff's family. Athena, the biggest pick-me girl. Worried, the girls confide in their father, who takes the matter up with the dean. An official investigation is launched, and the police begin questioning students who were at the party. Now, why the police officer cute too? After the interrogations, Jordan meets with Kristen and Sarah. She mentions that a case similar to Sarah's has happened before, but the only difference is that Jeff had his way with the girl involved. When she filed a case against him, his family paid her off, and she retracted her statement. Jeff's family also made a huge donation to the school, and everyone seemed to forget what Jeff had done, because he always throws great parties that everyone enjoys. Jeff is literally the Black Jeffrey Epstein, even got the same name. Jordan reveals the victim's identity as Diana, which shocks Sarah because Diana is her roommate, who was very cold to her. Meanwhile, Jeff runs into Wayne. Wayne had dropped some Ozempic-looking vials, and Jeff said he wants some. Jeff wonders what Wayne told the cops, but he just ignores him. Later that evening, Diana finishes her swimming practice and heads to her dorm room. This when you know this fake because black people don't swim. On her way, she notices someone following her and attempts to run for her life. Unfortunately, her stalker catches up to her and sprays her with a toxic gas. The toxin takes effect immediately, causing her to smash her head against a wall until she dies. The following day, news of her death spreads, prompting Sarah to decide to change her room. Jordan feels that it's too convenient for Diana to die, just as Sarah's case with Jeff is still fresh, which makes Kristen question if Jeff had anything to do with it. Meanwhile, the dean calls Sarah to his office. When she arrives, she sees Mrs. Clark, Jeff's mother, yelling at the dean because Jeff is being suspended. "Miss Chubby Mama Betta, watch out." She is upset that the dean is not taking her side, despite the school having received large donations from her family. After the woman leaves, the dean tells Sarah about Jeff's suspension, but she's not satisfied. She wants Jeff expelled. She requests a change of dorm rooms and the dean agrees. In class, Athena picks on Sarah and tries to make her look bad for getting Jeff suspended, proving she is the biggest Diddy defender. At some point, she gets fed up with Athena's BS and leaves class to cool her head. Outside, she bumps into Wayne, who asked to see her that evening. Apparently, he wants to help her study, but we all know he's trying to do something else. At the same time, Athena and Rick scan a QR code for a night party coming up soon. As soon as they do, their phone begins glitching. But what they don't know is that a hacker is behind it. The hacker uses the same trick to gain access to Jordan's car. That evening, Charles finds a note on his car that reads, "Drop the case." He thinks Jeff's friends are behind it, and when he confronts Rick, he says he had nothing to do with it. Later, Wayne stops by the house, and Charles finds it strange that he wants to help Sarah study. Meanwhile, Jordan is driving home from school when her car suddenly releases toxic gas, the same type that caused Diana's death. As the effects begin to take hold, Jordan calls Wayne and pleads for help, but he ignores her call because he's with Sarah. By the time he finally sees the message, it's too late because Jordan's gone. Detective Richards questions whether Jordan was friends with Diana, as both deaths appear to be suicides. Wayne, however, does not believe it was a suicide because of the voice message Jordan sent him before she passed away. Even after Detective Richards listens to the message, he remains unconvinced that Jeff was involved in the deaths of Diana and Jordan. However, Sarah argues that Jeff had a motive to silence her, since Diana had previously filed a case against him. Despite this, the detective maintains that Jordan committed suicide, then heads out with a colleague to investigate more. So let's do a check-in. Who do you think is behind all this? Outside, Wayne and Sarah discuss how they can force an investigation into Jeff and his family. Sarah recalls Diana and mentions that she might have told someone about what Jeff and his family did to her. Wayne agrees, and they both leave the station to find a relative of Diana's. Later that day, Detective Richards visits Mrs. Clark's home to question her about Jeff's involvement in the recent murders. Mrs. Clark insists that her son has nothing to do with the case because he is currently out of the country. This statement leaves the detective confused as he departs the house to continue his investigations. But it seems Mrs. Clark might be lying about her son's location. That evening, Brittany overhears what's going on and becomes worried that their family might be in danger because of the note found on Charles's car. She urges him to drop the case, but Charles insists on speaking to the police first. The next day, he hands the flyer to Detective Richards and asks him to investigate it. That evening, the detective interrogates Rick, who insists he knows nothing about the flyer. Even when asked about his involvement in Jordan or Diana's case, he denies any knowledge. However, when questioned about Jeff, he becomes tense and requests a lawyer. After the interrogation, Rick texts Athena and tells her the police suspect they had something to do with Jordan's death. Athena is shaken. She urges Rick to come clean about what they've done for Jeff, warning that Jeff's parents won't protect them if anything surfaces. Her change of heart faster than Elon Musk's crash out against Trump. Elsewhere, Rick prepares to drive home, but his car releases a toxic gas. Immediately, the toxin takes effect, and he stands in the middle of the road and gets ran over. Something similar happens the next day. Athena wakes up and inhales the toxic gas while trying to freshen up. Immediately, the urge to end her life takes over, and she sets herself on fire, leaving other students shocked. At least she stayed lit. Later, Wayne tries to kiss Sarah, and Charles ruins the moment, twice, saving Sarah from doing community service. That evening, Jeff receives a text from Sarah indicating that she wants to drop the case and suggesting they meet soon. Meanwhile, Charles arrives at school and realizes that a certain chemical is missing from his lab. Later that night, someone sneaks into Charles's house and sprays Brittany with the toxic gas. Sarah notices something unusual and quickly realizes that someone else is in the house. When she sees Kristen, she tells her to go to their neighbor's place and calls the police, while she stays back to look for Brittany. Once Kristen leaves, Sarah finds Brittany attempting to hang herself, but she intervenes just in time to save her life. Moments later, Detective Richards arrives at the hospital and reports that Kristen is missing. This news hits Charles hard, and he begins to blame himself for everything since he wasn't home when his wife was poisoned. Meanwhile, Sarah receives a message from Jeff saying that they should meet and she should come alone. Concerned, she shows the message to Wayne and decides to leave without informing the police. Wayne drives her to the meeting place, expressing his worry for her safety as he suspects it might be a trap. He promises to call the police and follow her once she meets Jeff. Wayne swaps COVID with her, though. Back at the hospital, the doctor informs Charles that Brittany attempted to take her own life, which is why she is now restrained. She comments on a lingering smell around Brittany, and when he recognizes it, he suddenly bolts, searching for Sarah. Meanwhile, Sarah is at the meeting place, searching for Jeff. She finds him struggling with Kristen and is forced to strike him with a baseball bat. Kristen claims that Jeff kidnapped her, but when Jeff recovers, he takes a knife and attempts to harm himself. Just then, Wayne arrives and intervenes. As they struggle, Jeff mutters, "Help me," before stabbing himself in the neck. That's when Wayne pieces things together and realizes the truth. Kristen is responsible for all the recent murders. Initially, Kristen tries to feign innocence, but soon she admits that she orchestrated everything to eliminate Jeff and his useless friends. She reveals that she set Jeff up and sprayed him with toxic gas to push him to suicide. She explains she did it because of what Jeff did to Sarah, using Diana as a mere test subject. Sarah is shocked and struggles to process the information. Then she realizes that Kristen might have been involved in their mother's death. When questioned, Kristen confirms that she killed their mother because she was a trifling hoe who cheated on Dad, which devastates Sarah. As the conversation escalates, Kristen attempts to spray Wayne with the gas, but Sarah intervenes. They struggle, and in the chaos, Wayne stabs Kristen. In a moment of panic, Sarah sprays Wayne with the toxic gas, causing him to take his own life. Shortly after, the police arrive, and Kristen lies to her father, claiming that Jeff and Wayne tried to kill her and Sarah. Her story seems credible, as Wayne is the only one with access to his lab and the poisonous chemicals inside. Meanwhile, Sarah sits in silence, watching as Kristen deceives everyone about everything that happened. And that's the end. What did you guys think of this one? Did you see that twist coming? Kristen is crazy.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.